TrekWars, Duels Across the Stars. Episode 16. Top 5 Musical Moments.
The Cantina Band reigned supreme, having outplayed Harry Kim and the Kim Tones at the Mos Eisley Cantina. Friggin' D'Anne now deploys his music to every holodeck in the Federation to take control of a second galaxy. Only the Max Rebo band of musicians fight against the rising tyranny. Certain that Starfleet Officer Commander William Riker will return and restore more music to both universes. Three ensigns race home aboard the Starship Enterprise, custodians of the ultimate list of whether Star Trek or Star Wars has the best musical moments, hoping this can persuade Commander Riker to return Starfleet and restore music to the galaxy.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 16, Top 5 Musical Moments. I am Olympus. We have with us today...
I'm Ben Kerno, and returning for her second episode, we have...
Olympia.
With, I might say, a near damn perfect crawl. You almost had it nailed there.
Almost.
There's so much better than I would have.
Thank you.
Now, thank you for coming back again, Olympia.
Of course. Thank you for having me back.
Love it. Today, we're going to be talking about our top 5 musical moments from Star Trek and Star Wars and combining that into a top 5 list. I know it's an important thing in both franchises, whether that's the Imperial March or the start of any, or not quite the start of any Star Trek episode. That's usually the bit after the teaser that you have there, bit of music come up. So we're going to dive into that and see what our top 5 favourite musical moments are, or music moments are. Do you have anything to say before we start, Olympus?
I'd just like to point out that although we are sitting clearly in the same room, we have not seen each other's picks, so we don't know what the other one's chosen.
Yes, we managed not to share them this time, unlike the last time Olympia very kindly joined us and we couldn't help but share them. I didn't remember 3 out of 5 visuals last time, I think. But yes.
This time 0 out of 5.
Yes, and Ben, have any of us shared each other's picks with you or vice versa?
No, we have not discussed that, which hopefully adds to a bit of conversation in the episode. And please, if anybody else has got their top 5 picks, please put that in chat, in the comments, on the Twitter, one of our Twitters when it comes up, on our podcast, which we have as well, and YouTube, in any of the comments there. Please, we would love to interact with those answers. So
please also hit that like and subscribe button for us. The fact that you guys are here watching this really means the world, or listening to it as well, really means the world. But please hit those like and subscribe buttons as well. That really, really does mean the world.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much just for being here. And if you do extra thank you. Before we actually start picking our picks, we make our own little rules up, or hopefully we've made them already, where we say how we've decided or our picks or our boundaries for our picks. So I'm going to start off as I'm already talking. My top 5 had to be, I'm going to say, in the show or the episode or the film. And I mean, when I say that, if you're a character in the film or the TV show, you would have have heard it. So, like I said, the Imperial March. Yeah, I like that. Like the Imperial March, I'm sure Darth Vader and the Emperor did not hear that. So we did.
Played in the head.
Yeah. I thought that was just me when I enter a building, but no. Mine, the characters in their show, game, TV show, film, would have had to actually heard it or played it in the show. So I've hopefully gone for a slightly different take than most of these moments, and hopefully you too. So
Nice. So my rules, I was really struggling, to be fair. So it must involve music. It's rule number one, which you think would go without saying, but I'm throwing that in there.
Okay, we'll give you that one. It has to have music when it's a musical.
Yeah.
Yep.
So by which I mean,
Good rule.
it has to have music. My more serious rule is that it's the kind of definition of moment again, which we kind of probably touched on in previous episodes. The musical moment cannot exceed the music track or musical element that is playing. So if it is a song, for example, in the background, that moment can last the entire song. But if that song ends at that's the moment over as well. So basically, the music defines the length of the moment for me.
My rule was pretty similar. I kind of went into it with a kind of possibly different take. I went for what are my top 5 moments and then make rules around it. So basically, my rules were I had no rules as long as there was music.
they like it.
That's a really good way of getting around it. Well done.
Yeah, my rule was there
Yeah.
was no rules. And by the way, if anybody's wondering why I look so much shorter, we are literally sitting next to each other. My seat's just broken and doesn't actually go any higher. So, yeah.
I am also a head taller than you, but probably not this much.
Not that much. Just putting that out there.
Oh.
I'm not a midget.
I'm
Tiny
not
compared
going
to
to go
you.
into
It's not
the.
that different.
I was going to. That was me going to go into the stereotypical Scots being dwarves and stuff like that. But
Yeah. We won't go there.
Won't go there. So, anyway, shall we go on to our top 5? Oh, top 5 picks. So our number 5, Olympus. Did you want to, or Olympia? Do you want to go
Guess
first?
Guess first. Okay, yes. Let me just find.
I knew that's what you were doing. You were scrolling on your notes.
Yeah, my notes are actually on my phone here, and I'm keeping it this way so that nobody gets to see my pick. So if you see me looking away, I am just looking at my picks. So my first one kind of came at Star Trek, and I will say that up front, all of my picks are Star Trek.
Imagine that. Almost like the last time you were here.
I know. Maybe there's a pattern. I am a much bigger Star Trek fan than Star Wars, so I know, knife in the heart, but you're okay. So yeah, but my first one came from Voyager, and in this one I kind of define moment as an episode, because it's not a particular song, but it runs throughout the episode, and I can't even say this word properly, but virtuoso?
Virtuoso. Yeah,
Yes.
you just had it.
You know the episode I'm talking about.
Vaguely.
So it's the one where the Doctor and the Voyager encounters a species that don't have music, and when they're getting treated for their injuries, they hear the Doctor singing, and he becomes a huge phenomenon on their planet. And in the end of the episode, basically the Doctor decides that no, he wants to stay with Voyager because they're looking at music from a mathematical point and not really appreciating the emotion behind it. But you see him kind of leaving, and they're starting to compose their own music. And I just thought it was such a nice moment that meeting these outsiders, they've suddenly been introduced to a whole new world of music. Because as anybody who's seen the recent episode of Doctor Who and the whole Abbey Road and the music, and how when there was no music, how everything felt so different. So it kind of speaks to the same kind of message, how important music is to society. I'll try that in English. A society. Close enough.
Wow. You had a moment in the last episode you were with us where you got really, really deep. I feel like you've just done that again. That was a lovely pick. And when you first mentioned Virtuoso, I wondered where you were going to go with it. And that was brilliant. I can totally see how you could define that as a moment as well. It was like the Doctor's moment with music.
Yeah, it was bringing that music to people who didn't have music, and how he discovered a bit about himself. I mean, there is quite a lot of Voyager that's around the Doctor singing. You see it in multiple episodes, but I think this one just brought everything together so nicely.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And while I was doing that, I realise I've missed a great moment from the Doctor in another episode. I'm not going to change it now because I've decided because I've written in pen, so I can't change it.
Honourable mention. We can add it to your
Yeah.
mentions.
Yeah, and that was like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy when he was
Yes.
singing to Tuvok.
Yes.
It's like, how did I forget about that up until now? And well, not singing to Tuvok, he was singing about Tuvok, who was having a bonfire, I think, in one of his dreams. It probably sounds weirder than me saying it than the actual episode, but
no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I'm glad you went down the Doctor Voyager route, because him and even Seven singing it throughout moments in the show, I love.
And that's just reminded me of one that I didn't include on my list. When the Doctor and Seven and they're singing "You're My Sunshine."
Oh wow! I hadn't even thought of that.
I hadn't even thought of that. That would have been an honourable mention for me.
Yeah, that crossed my mind as well, and which is why I'm ashamed that I forgot about Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. But yeah. Anyway, anything else to add, Olympus or Olympia?
No, I'm good.
I don't. Just what a brilliant pick! You totally blew me away. I wasn't expecting it.
That's just my number 5.
I know, right? You've set yourself up. You're going to struggle to beat that.
I am going to struggle to beat that, but I've ranked them based off of what my favourites have been, not for the ones that I feel had the biggest impact or the most kind of message, just the music that I liked best.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Ben, would you like me to go next? And that means that you can end the episode with your number 1.
Ooh, okay then. Yeah, okay then.
So my number 5, and I guess I've picked mine more based off of probably it's the emotional impact that the music gave me and added to the scene. That's where I've come from with my top 5, and I'm gonna kick off with a sequence from Strange New Worlds that came out in the musical episode very aptly. Name of our episode today is called Subspace Rhapsody. And it's the scene where Nurse Chapel, I believe she's just found out that she's been accepted into her
internship.
It's an internship placement thing. I can't remember what it's called.
Is it Vulcan? No, I can't
No,
she didn't get the Vulcan one.
She didn't get the Vulcan one that was in the previous episode. Well remembered though, because there was a whole cool badass moment with her basically telling the Vulcans to get to, which was brilliant. But this was I can't remember what she called it now.
The 3-month program that
it was.
Going on.
It was. It will come to me later. It might have been Daystrom, but anyway. Obviously, all this musical stuff is going on because it's a musical episode, and she jumps into the mess hall, and it all erupts into song, and it goes through all the emotions she's feeling about how excited she is and how she's finally making her break. And basically telling Spock very brutally that this is what she's going after, and she doesn't give two about their relationship on that level. Like, this opportunity for her trumps her relationship with Spock. And for is it Ethan Peck who plays Spock?
Yes,
isn't it?
it is.
For Spock containing his emotions, being a half Vulcan, Ethan Peck really plays beautifully that stoic, I'm not showing any emotion, but oh my god, I'm devastated right now. In that very moment when you see him, when she's in the middle of dancing around, the whole room's around her, spinning with her. It's a very sort of almost 20s, 30s kind of jazzy tone as well, which I really love that kind of music, very upbeat. And you've got the mix of that upbeat feeling with Chapel and the people around her celebrating her success, and Spock standing there absolutely devastated. And you just get this conflict of emotions throughout it, and it really gels and works so very, very well. And I will add, the way I normally always do, My top 5 could have moved around a million times over. I locked this in about an hour and a half ago. This easily could have been number 3 or number 2 in my list.
Yeah.
But Chapel ended on number 5 for me.
And the song
Oh,
was
cool.
called?
I'm ready.
Well done.
No, I like that, and I'm trying to remember the exact combination of words, but because I only watched it like a day or two ago, especially in preparation for this, and because I like it. But didn't they say that they need something to get Spock, or not irritated his motions up, or something like that?
So
lyrics
yeah, I
or-
think I know what you're talking about. It wasn't Spock specifically, but Uhura is talking to him, and they're trying to break the quantum entanglement, whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah.
And
They need to
Well,
pull it
so,
into
uh,
song
They
through
basically
emotion.
they basically need a massive outburst of emotion to trigger a song so that they can check the frequencies, and that's ultimately what saves the day, is hitting the point and the
Yeah.
number.
It very much works like in theatre. So if you're at a theatre, at the points where you've got a lot of emotion coming through is when you get those big musical numbers, and that's what they were having to hit to get to that frequency.
Yeah, and then they kind of point out
almost like
what's going on in the bar right there, and they kind of Uhura kind of drags him into this moment that you can see a bit of him resisting, going, I don't really want to go in there, like we're having some issues right now, but safety of every person in the universe kind of trumps how I'm feeling.
yeah. So yeah, it definitely adds to the Spock character as well. And yeah, having that and having I won't mention the song at the end too much because we might get into that later with by somebody's pick, but so I won't go there. But yeah, I love that, and their emotions coming out while they're singing, which was noticed by Leon. She went to the captain, was just saying that everybody's emotions are coming out. We can't let this go out to everybody. So it rules here. So
And that actually leads to an honourable mention that I could have had, which is when Pike's girlfriend comes on screen
Yes.
and they have that whole song interaction, and he's basically bleeding his heart out to her and the other way around, and then I think it's La'an manages to turn it off.
Yeah, like
yeah,
he's getting really deep into this, and La'an kind of goes, okay, what's going on? Gets up and then hits the disconnect button on,
And
because
that's
everybody's transfixed on this big emotional moment, and I think that speaks very highly to humanity. We're all like, ooh, what's going on over there? Like,
But it does
And I
really
think
bring
it's-
to life to Pike. Sorry, Ben. That the gravity of what La'an was actually trying to bring to life for him. So that worked well. Sorry.
yeah, and it adds to her because you actually know they made a point of having it that she needed to cross the bridge, so you could see her in the background making a point of doing this. So
Yeah.
it wasn't just press the button next to me. It's like yeah.
Yeah, it's like the comment's all the way over there. How completely inconsiderate are these design people to make me walk?
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody has any Star Trek or play Star Trek Adventures. Obviously, they didn't have enough momentum to change the screen because you need, I think, 2 momentum to change the screen to yours one to override it. So
if
yeah,
she
just
rolled
use
a
it.
bad number there, she wouldn't have reached it before it was too late.
Yeah.
I just want to know what the end of that conversation was going to be.
Yeah, me too, but we'll never know.
No, shame.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did they go on a holiday in the end? I can't remember. Did they go on holiday in the end?
No.
No. I just
Oh, no,
The
this-
next episode happened.
Yeah, the next episode happens to go and attack that
Oh.
planet, and that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, they have not yet managed to go on holiday.
Cool. I think unless there's anything else to add.
Over to Ben.
Over to me. So I'm not trying not to read somebody else's answer there. I was going, oh yeah. So this one is happened aboard 10-4 or in 10-4 aboard the USS Enterprise again, but this one's the D version. And this one happened between Ro Laren, Geordie the Forge, actually, and a lot of it was in honor of them. It was their memorial service that the reason this was happening.
Oh.
In the episode from TNG, The Next Phase, their Data decided to celebrate all their lives by just having a party. And you got a jazz band in the background, which William Riker, Commander Riker, joins in with trumpet, and it's not necessarily just the music by itself, but it's the whole atmosphere that they're deciding to celebrate the life of two of my favorite TNG characters. They're having a bit of music in there while they're trying to get themselves, I'm going to say unfazed, but they were more cloaked. Was this because there was a cloaking accident on Romulan ship in that episode, and they needed to stop the Enterprise from going to warp, otherwise, kaboom, for everybody. I just love the party. I love the episode. This one probably got on as well, not just because of the music, but also because I loved watching the episode, and loved the characters. And there was a discussion we had earlier before off camera about phasing, and this was the one I was referring to.
I wondered.
The next phase.
I did wonder that.
Yeah. So anybody who doesn't know the story already, I've given about, but they got transferred over. They ended up waking up on the floor. You first notice it when Captain Picard walks out of turbo left going to medical, and he turns around the corner. You see some legs sticking out from behind by the wall, and it was just like, you go, hang on, shouldn't Captain Picard have seen this person lying on the floor? He didn't, and you have about you actually have about a few minutes of her trying to work out that there's something wrong, and then her and Geordi trying to work out how to get back into phase was the rest of the ship, or uncloaked from the rest of the whatever happened to them. So anyway, any thoughts?
That was a lovely pick. I'd totally forgotten about it. In particular, it was I guess the music part in particular was the jazz band playing, wasn't it? Which
yes,
I always love any scenes that you get to see Will Riker.
Because
musically.
he actually does play.
Jonathan Frakes.
Yes, the actor does actually play. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'd always wondered.
You see him. There's too many instances where he's playing for it to be just a character trope, because there's an episode or a movie, and I want to say it's The Librarians, and I think it's one of the movies because he did direct a lot, and he's playing the trombone standing on like a street corner. I can vaguely picture it in my head, but there's been quite a few times where he's done something like that, so I think he genuinely does actually play, if I remember correctly. Feel free, audience who's watching this, to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain I'm not on that one.
Nice. That was a lovely pick, and a great episode as well, Ben. As I say,
this is actually bringing so many things, and I'm like, oh, that could have been on my list, and that could have been on my list, and
that's why I like having a group of us together talking about it, because he always comes up with something that you go, oh, sugar, forgot about that.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, if no other thoughts, then over to Olympia for your number 4.
For my number 4, so my number 4 is from a movie. And I can't remember. I think I know the movie, but I can't remember because you know how bad I am for getting the movie titles mixed up.
I'll tell you if you're right in a second.
I want to say it's Nemesis.
Okay.
It's the Blue Skies when Brent Spiner
Nemesis.
Thank you, I was right. When Brent Spiner is singing Blue Skies to celebrate Troy and Riker's wedding. I just think it's so nice. Like, there's such a nice moment where he's putting this song out there to celebrate them, because he loves them, because he cares about them, because he's there in that moment. And I just think it's such a nice wee version of the song as well, because as most people will know, there's about a bazillion versions of that song, and I just think it's a really nice kind of moment in there.
It's beautiful.
Oh, I'm glad you picked that. Yeah, and it made me think of the Picard episode, beginning first one there, of having that play in in the dream sequence.
And it's Isa Briones who actually sings that version as well, isn't
yes,
it?
it's the actress who played Daj and whatever the other one's name was.
Soji.
Soji. That was
But yeah, she sings. She sings that. I was watching an interview before where she was saying, it was the director, wasn't it? It approached her and said, "Don't you think it'd be great if you actually sung this?" So no, lovely, and you know that song just resonates so much with Data and his story now, which is lovely to see in Picard as well.
That's actually touching on one of my other picks later in the list.
Oh well, we won't go any further with that then.
But I can't believe I forgot about that. It's probably because I had a list already. I decided not to expand too much else because I had like a top 8, 9 already, and then it was just like
I'm the same, but then I think part of it's maybe because I was thinking Star Wars and Star Trek together. There's so many more options, I guess, to try and consider to cram into a top 5. It becomes difficult because again, that could easily have been in my top 5.
Really and then I think as we're kind of chatting and remembering things, like when we were just talking about Ben's last pick, and it made me think of the Picard episode where he's learning to play the strip.
Oh my word! Why didn't I think of that? No.
Yeah, see, and I just thought of that when we were talking about the trombone. It's because Frakes can actually play it, and I'm sure that's why it stuck in my head because
Patrick Stewart,
thank you. I kept wanting to call him wrong with Picard. Patrick Stewart can't actually play and had to just pretend, and they had to put the sound in over it. So I think that was that would have probably been on my list if I had remembered about it.
Yeah, that whistle was lovely, and oh god, well, reminiscent. Okay, we'll make the picks at the end honourable mentions longer because otherwise we're
no, definitely.
You're right. Okay, let's jump over to me then.
Over to you for your number 4.
So I'm going to stay with Subspace Rhapsody. This, who knows, this could be a Subspace Rhapsody list of a top 5, but it's not.
Be a good list.
It would be a good list, actually. A lot of them are really good, but it's not, I promise. So staying with Star Trek.
Anybody in chat? Yeah, please put your top 5. I knew you said Bohemian Rhapsody. You can put your top 6 Bohemian Rhapsody moments and Subspace Rhapsody moments.
Total sidebar. There is a moment where they do an almost Queen Bohemian Rhapsody point in Subspace Rhapsody.
Yes.
In fact, it's in the finale song, We Are One, which is the one that I'm talking about. So you know, I could pick that entire song. It's so brilliant. It brings the entire crew together. You've got that classic theatre sort of upbeat finale moment where everything's worked out the way that you want it to, and everyone's very positive and happy, and we've won the day, and goodbye bad guys, and all that good stuff. So you really get all that strong feeling through that. You've got the bit where it's Spock. It's what's her name? The engineer. I love her to bits. Pella.
That sounds about right.
And who was down there with them? There was a third. Is it La'an down there at that point? And La'an. And it just goes black at one point. You've got the 3 heads basically singing in that kind of same way that Queen did, which was beautiful. But the particular bit that I wanted to bring up, because that entire song was amazing, but
I think I know what you're going to pick.
You know exactly what I'm going to pick.
I know exactly what you're going to pick.
I laugh every time it happens. They get to a point partway through the song, towards the end, where they've still not reached. Yes. Hail the Klingons! Hurrah! So it gets to a point where they can't quite get the right frequency yet. So Pike's saying, right, hail the Klingons, let's get them into this. Now, what song would you think a Klingon would sing? You're thinking either a flippin' Shakespearean sonnet in a very low voice, or, because you haven't experienced Shakespeare until you have experienced it in the original Klingon. or
True.
it's going to be some rocky or metal screamy.
Or Klingon opera. Klingon opera.
Okay, I'll give you Klingon opera, but again, it's very.
But there's so many references to Klingon opera throughout the shows that, you know.
That's a fair point. I hadn't thought of that.
Mhm.
I hadn't thought so. Potentially Klingon opera, but no, it was some funky K-pop
K-pop.
stuff, which was brilliant.
Oh, was it
Yeah.
K-pop type
Yeah,
thing? I was
yeah.
thinking just a typical boy band.
It was kind of typical boy band, but I don't know why I call it K-pop. I think it's because I've watched that Trolls movie a few times, and it just
Yeah.
reminds me a bit of the K-pop band and that. That's probably why I've
It
said
also
K-pop.
kind of rolls off the tongue. K-pop Klingon.
K-pop Klingons, yeah.
Kind of
yeah.
close.
It does. It rolls off. Oh,
It's hilarious.
I was in fits of laughter, and I had to rewatch it and then rewatch it again. And
We nearly woke the wee one up because we were staying at your grand's when
That's
that episode
right.
aired, and she's literally sleeping like for kind of here to the back of our room away, so not very far. And the two of us are sitting watching this independently with our own headphones in, going,
yeah.
trying so hard not to burst out laughing and wake the little one up. It was a really good point.
It was brilliant.
think-
That's a highlight of the movie
I
from
think
just
it
from a
kind
pure
of
humorous
adds
perspective.
to it that the fact that he's like, why, and he's trying so hard to resist this. Like, he knows what's going to happen, and he is trying with all his might to fight this and not have it happen. And I think that just adds to the comedy of it.
Yeah.
And right at the end, it's like they managed to succeed at the task, and then the Klingon captain there realized what they were doing, and it's like, oh, the shame, the dishonor of this. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay.
I think there's so
Yeah,
many
that's
nice moments around that, like the end when the whole kind of music pauses and everybody's looking as if to say, what the hell? And then they're like, oh shit, yeah, we're trying to like save the galaxy, let's get back to the song. So
Yeah. It was really, really, really funny.
that's a really good pick.
Thank you.
It is. So the thing is, with the rest of the picks, the best is yet to come. And I'm going to go to Deep Space Nine with Vic Fontaine and
Yes.
Captain Sisko.
Yeah.
After having done the heist of the century in Vic's casino, is it?
Yeah.
Vic's,
Call it that.
casino. Yeah. Tried to get the casino back. And after Sisko really not wanting to go on this to help everybody else because of him, like, remembering the segregation, or not quite segregation, near as damn it segregation, but the black issues that were prominent in America in the 60s, 50s era. I know there's a lot more to unpack there, but I won't go there. But because of that was so issue, he was reluctant to do it, and eventually got in it, and got into doing this, joining them in this holodeck adventure, and at the end got up on stage with the holodeck character Vic Fontaine, who almost is a doctor, the doctor himself, pretty much sentient, and done this wonderful rendition of Frank Sinatra's. I don't know if it was his originally, but I know this from him, Frank Sinatra. The best is yet to come, and it was just absolutely amazing. And I can't believe I nearly left this out up until relatively recently. It was.
It's a really good one, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was about 13 songs, because the guy's actually, as the actor who was playing him, a proper kind of singer, and I'm sure there was about 13 of his songs. Yeah, I did look this up earlier because it was stuck in my head. So if you bear with until
I won't look at your screen.
No, it's alright, you won't see it on this. I just need to try.
Yeah, I believe he was some sort of singer. I don't know too much about that, and there's probably only about 2 or 3 Star Trek actors that I knew much about before their appearances on Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm not finding it now, which is really Star Trek. That's this one. It's in here. I hate when it does this. but it did tell me on this because it was one I was looking at and I can't find it now for the life of me, which is really annoying. Get past all the rubbish.
Here's the edit bit for you later.
Yeah,
later.
this is the edited bit.
Yeah, this is the edit. No, I'm not finding it now, but it did talk about it. There was an article I found that was talking about it and how many of his songs and how it kind of worked, seeing him across this kind of story and how the music was such an important part of it. And I just thought it was a really nice article and I can't find it now, so that sucks. But
We will find it later and we'll
Yeah, I'm
add
sure
the
we
link
will.
to the commentary on or the description on the videos.
if we find it, good luck.
We will. I have faith.
Faith of the Heart.
That.
Another musical.
No, it's not really a musical.
It's a
but
musical moment.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that was my number 4 pick.
Brilliant pick.
Best is Yet to Come by Vic Fontaine and
Love it, Ben.
Ben Cisco.
Absolutely love it. Great choice.
Okay.
Over to Olympia.
Mine, yes. So mine is from an episode called Past This Prologue. And it is Cilician Opera.
I don't remember this, but I remember the
I
title
do.
Past his prologue.
Yeah,
Discovery episode.
Discovery episode. It is, yes.
Yes, damn it. Oh, damn it. I've had a mind blank on the characters.
So
musical
it
bit in
is so
Discovery?
yes. So it's when Stamets is lost in the network and he's having this kind of dream.
It's an
and-
opera.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and his partner kind of appears to him and he's like, follow the music, it's a way to find your way home. And I just thought it was such a kind of nice, he tells him to follow the music. There's this whole thing about the Cilician opera between Stamets and Culber, and it's going back to their relationship right at the beginning and bringing it up kind of like, you want to find your way home, you want to find your way back, this is how you do it. Follow the music, follow something that means so much to us and you will get home. And I just thought it was such a nice wee kind of special moment.
That is lovely.
So yeah.
Yes, I'd totally forgotten about the opera. They made that quite a thing in a couple of episodes.
Yeah, they kind of
in
talk
Discovery
about,
where they talk about it. That leads to
yeah,
them using
they
it
kind
there.
of set it up to be like it was something to do with their relationship and it meant something to them. So when you kind of bring it and see how these wee trickles of mentions tie together to this is how you find your way home, it kind of made it such a nice moment. So
Beautiful.
Cilician Opera.
Yeah, that was how they first met, I believe.
It is, yes.
Or, yeah. I can't know why both of them were there because one of them doesn't like it and the other does. But
yeah, I can't remember the full details of it, but it was like right back at the beginning of their relationship. So that is where I got my number 3 pick from.
Nice. Very nice.
Glad you picked that. Glad you did. So Olympus, unless you have any more to say?
I don't. No. But apart from the lovely pick, I'm going to move us to Star Wars because I feel like Star Wars needs some form of love here now because we've not touched it yet, and there are so many different bits in Star Wars you could pick. Sorry, Ben.
I was about to say this is the perfect time to come back because you've got enough picks here for Star Wars to still win.
Ooh, here we go. Right. Come on, Star Wars. I do love both of them the same.
Yeah.
But
You
Star Wars
almost said
needs
that
them.
with a straight face.
I know, right? Almost. Almost.
And we know, and we need Olympia to have lied that all 5 picks have not, are not Star Trek. But
Yes, she won't have lied.
I know.
Oh no. The duel on Mustafa. But the entire duel, right? The entire bit, and I'm talking about it, like including the bit where the bit that where everyone takes the first letter of each word and puts it all together. And it's like, you know what this speech is, and yes, you do. So even that bit, and the reason for that is because in the background of that sequence when Anakin and Obi-Wan are arguing with each other, before they actually get the lightsabers out, and almost kind of debating, the morality of the Jedi, good versus evil, light versus dark. And you've got this music building up in the background as they're arguing, and it's building up and building up into this crescendo when they eventually start fighting. And it kind of, instead of it just going all out massive fanfare, they do something absolutely brilliant. They take it from that build up. There's a little explosion of music, and then it goes straight into that typical. But just the whole beat to it really matches with the pace and the ferocity of them fighting each other, and really adds to the emotion that's going on as brother fights brother, and their relationships just completely falling apart. It's one of the few times through the Star Wars saga, and I love the Star Wars saga, but it's one of the few times where I get proper goosebumps is through that entire sequence from that point, and that is why that's my number 3.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't necessarily think about the music when I watch that scene, and that's probably a good thing, to be honest. But yeah, no, I just can remember that scene being really, really good. Okay, it didn't get my top 5 scenes from the movies, but it was. I still like that scene, and that was a standout thing in that film.
And honestly, I'm not surprised that you probably haven't taken too much notice to it, because there's so much happening just in that 1 minute or so between the two of them, and then it goes straight into action. But if next time you're watching it, have a listen. Like, just listen out for the music. You'll hopefully realize that the music is actually at least half of what makes that scene moving into that sequence work as well as it does.
I will. Any thoughts, Olympia?
No, because I actually don't know what the hell you're talking about right now.
Clip. We need to find a clip.
No, you're good. I think I know vaguely, because I have seen some of them.
You went to the cinema with me to see Revenge of the Sith.
I did.
And I left and you left
yeah.
Sure.
I went like that after being a Star Wars fan. You took me to see Darling, but
that's why I never took you to many.
Anyway, but no, I do agree with the kind of principle behind the scene, where music can really add to what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anybody's ever seen the reels that go around Facebook where they show you a clip of a scene with the music and then they show you it without, and you don't realise until you see that exact side-by-side comparison just how much music can affect a scene and affect your viewing of it. So yeah, I think I kind of see where you're coming from with that.
Oh, thank you. And there's also, on that note, I've also seen videos where they take the original music out but replace it with something else in a totally different genre, so it can take something really serious and turn it into something totally slapstick.
Yeah.
Just by changing the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it has a way of adding to a scene completely. Whether that will be again the Emperor arriving, whether that's you walk into a cantina and there's music playing. It has a way of making that moment in a scene, which is again why music is so important, I suppose, to these franchises and other shows out there. It's there to help you get in the mode, whether that's as a background thing or as a front loaded scene. It's
absolutely
yeah. Or if it is suddenly added there as a bit of comic relief, like in my number 3 pick, which is Q from Star Trek, and when he suddenly appears on the bridge of the Enterprise, I'm going to just say to annoy Picard, but to annoy the crew of Star Trek of the Star Trek: The Next Generation, and if he turns up with a trumpet and a mariachi band, sorry if I mispronounced that,
Is it
it
mariachi?
can be
band?
annoying to the crew.
Maybe.
Mariachi band, yeah. It can be irritating and then funny at the same time.
Oh yeah.
When
Yeah.
it's just like him there, it's just like playing on his trumpet in his Mexican garb. I don't know if that is really actual Mexican garb because I've never been to Mexico, but it is a stereotypical Mexican.
It absolutely is stereotypical.
Yeah. And when he suddenly makes the cigars appear in Riker's and Picard's mouth at the same time, it's just like you can see the frustration in their faces.
Mm-hmm.
But just how much fun is Q having while he does it?
Does it? Yeah.
You can just see his giddiness.
Yeah, and it is his own way of saying thank you to the crew on that occasion.
Yeah.
Because he got chucked out of the Q continuum. Was an amazing entrance of being absolutely in his birthday outfit, dropping onto the bridge of the Enterprise and then trying to, and then learning a bit of empathy, maybe from
Maybe for about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did he? Because we don't know that we don't know that we're seeing him in order. So when you see him later on, doesn't necessarily mean that that's a later on cue. It could be an earlier on cue.
I like where you're going with that, and that takes you right back, or right forwards, I should say, to the end of Picard season 3, doesn't it? Because the cue that you see there, you are surmising from what he says, is a younger cue to what you saw in season 2.
But no, that anyway. Before my head goes into a too deeper thought process with that.
Well done, Olympia. Yeah. You're giving me a bit of headache.
No, I just thought that scene was just a little bit funny. It's not the greatest music in the world, but it's not the greatest song in the world, but it was a bit of fun, and
it's a bit of fun, and it encapsulates and shows off Q and his relief, his enjoyment, his fun nature. You know, it works so well. I'm very happy you picked that.
Yeah, good choice.
I'm glad I picked that. So I better keep my scores up, focus. But there we are.
I'm going to say something as well before we move on to Olympia's number 2. We're 3 down, and we've not picked the same pick yet.
Ooh.
That's the first time in a very long time. I wonder if we'll change that. Over to Olympia.
So my next pick we actually touched on earlier, and it's the Isabriones version of Blue Skies.
Couldn't have done that if I tried. Does that count?
No, because it wasn't one of your picks.
The same.
It wasn't one of your picks, so no, it doesn't count. I feel that like her version of it is such a different version. It's so kind of slow. Seeing the scene that it's played with, it does get that emotion in there, and the fact that it's Data's daughter singing it just adds that whole other level. Although I think a lot of people don't really realise it's her. So there is that, but I think it just, when you know that, it just adds this whole extra level of emotion, and the fact that that song meant something to Data and was an important part of him. You've seen that kind of play through to the...
Yeah, and you touched on it, the fact that it's the exact same song, but sung in a different key, different tone, in a completely different way, and it just brings up so many different emotions, and totally different emotions to Data's version in Nemesis.
Yeah, so I love the fact that as well that can show how one song changed the tone, changed the kind of pitch and how it's sung, and you can get a totally different meaning. The same words, but just said a different way, and I think it goes to not just music, but like in life, how you say something has such a big important factor, because the same words in that song convey a totally different meaning from the wedding song to the almost funeral song, I suppose, because it's the end of Data. So yeah, that was why it's my number 2 pick.
Beautiful.
2 pick, not a toothpick.
And I really am trying to find a song I'm thinking about. I know there is a song in the UK that's got to #1 with 3 or 4 different artists, and I cannot find it now. So, and that's what I was going to say. The pick was about. It's like, yeah, if you can have the same song get to #1 with multiple different artists, it's different. So,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
agree.
And I think it kind of comes out with right now. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. We have the radio on at work, so I kind of hear, and there's quite a few songs right now that are coming out, and I'm like, hang on, that's the words from that song. There's one that's a kind of almost copy of a Shakira song. There's one, so it's kind of going back to like the early 2000s music, but with a kind of pop spin, like the new modern kind of take on it. But there's quite a few that I've noticed recently. I'm like, oh, that's that one, and that's this song, and I think it just goes to show that music is important, but it can be reinvented and rechanged, and yeah.
No, I definitely agree, and not completely unrelated, but yeah, I've been watching recently. I'm a big Stereophonics fan. Been to see them live, and it's like they were a big thing in the 90s in the UK, early O's. And then I've been watching, I say relatively recently, some live performances, and it's like looking at the age of the group, and that's like the age that I would have been when they first came out, and they came out with some of this stuff, and I'm going, you get new people listening to this
Yeah.
music, and
Yep.
it's great, and
Mhm.
and I think that's a good thing with analogy with Star Trek and Star Wars as well. New stuff's coming out, new people are getting into this via that channel, whether the old fans like it or not. This is a new thing for new people, and it's a way of getting in, and they hopefully will go and watch some of the old. They may not, or they may do. Yeah,
Fingers crossed I do.
Yeah.
but I know for me, my personal experience, I got into Star Trek through Star Trek TNG. I know a lot
Same.
of people will call that old stuff. Okay, it is old now, but it's not as old as
The original
the
series.
original series, which was 60, 70, 80. Yeah, that's see 20 years before, give 20, 25 years before. So it's, and I look back at that and go, bit cringy, but I can see where it's coming from. But I've got into the films. So anyway, that's a sidetrack that I was not thinking I was going down. So
No, it's still very relevant.
No,
Absolutely.
it is, and it's kind of relevant to the how music changing and singing things differently gives you different emotions. So yeah, and with that, let's go over to your number 2 pick.
So my number 2 pick is a moment I absolutely celebrated. I was in absolute awe of it. I was on such a high. And again, it was one of those moments in Star Trek that truly gave me goosebumps. And that was when the doors to the Starfleet Museum open up in Picard Season 3 and the Enterprise D flies out, does its little turn, warps away, all to the sound of that classic TNG music. It was absolutely perfect, absolutely phenomenal. Took me, like, nostalgia level was right up here.
I agree.
And you know, for someone as well, like you just said, Ben, right? My intro to Star Trek was the Next Generation cast and crew.
Yep.
They are Star Trek to me. They always will be. So it was just,
It's used to be called Worf, Data, Picard, and Riker when I was a little kid.
Really.
Ah. So TNG was how
I don't know why I'm saying really, because I know the story.
But yeah, I think most of people our age grew up with TNG, and that was their Trek and their introduction because it's what your parents were watching, so it's what you watched. And yep. I agree. I kind of got goosebumps at that moment. That music and that ship took you right back to the. It was really good.
It was lovely. It just completed the reunion.
Yes.
Didn't it? They've been doing throughout that season. Everyone was back where they were where they belonged. So that's my number 2.
Yeah, some of me was that season and that episodes go, oh come on, I want some of the characters from season 1 that's no longer appearing. It's like to come back. It's like, oh, don't want to have the old characters back, and then it's like the old characters back. Yay!
Yeah.
Loved it.
I get
The
it.
Enterprise D, the Wharf, the Forge, the whole damn show.
And at least we did still get Seven and Raffi. They were still around, which was nice.
I definitely agree on that. Glad they were there, and glad. Okay, Seven was from Voyager, but Raffi being there, I've loved that character throughout her little journey from a hovel to the bridge of the the bridge of the Enterprise.
Indeed.
Formerly Titan. Yeah.
Indeed. Right, Ben. What's your number 2?
My number 2, I am going to go with a entrance, and this is an entrance to Moz's castle in Star Wars. So this is the Han Solo after getting the Millennium Falcon back and meeting up with Finn and Rey. Go off to see a friend, not Coruscant this time, but Maz, and land on this green lush planet that Rey can't believe there's so much green in the galaxy. Land here, and then walk into this big bar, basically. And I'm not going to even attempt to try to sound the music, but you have the music of the bar going on, and you can have it like the camera go around all the patrons. You can see games going on, people drinking, chatting, conversations, and then you end up with some else who says out loud, Han Solo, and everybody stops, including the music, and it's just like an eager, and it's like you have that look of go, hello, Maz, realizing that people know where he is. And you see this big alien sitting down after that conversation, or after that meeting, with big horns out, almost like a giant orc. And when I say giant orc, I know orcs are giant in the first place. That's my point. Along with this woman, was I think a black garb all over her, talking to. See, she suddenly takes up an interest in Han Solo, and when I say an interest, not the interest she was showing to her other friend, going on, and then that you go on with the music, them having a chat. For me, the chat's almost irrelevant without having. I'm enjoying being in this cantina, this Moz's castle here, and watching those, and it's like I want to be there. I want to enjoy the music and such like, and it doesn't quite set up the film because that's already set up. This is the setup. This is going forward. This is where they are. What's happening.
Yeah.
This is the start of the adventure. Going forward, and it's just that music in that canteen. I want to listen to that.
Cantina
whereas the
music's
rest
always good.
It is, and it's got a vibe. There was. I'm not dissing the classics, movies, right? They were brilliant, but the that we all know and love. But that music from Moz's Cantina was just on a different level. It was very similar, but there was something added extra, something new to it, and it worked very, very nicely. You're right. I could have happily gone to that cantina, sat down with a cup of Java juice, and had a good time bopping around to the music.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Whereas 2 of my other honourable mentions, I like the music, but I don't think I could hang around there and listen to that too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you get.
I'm thinking of Lego games now.
Who else played the SOTOR game and after a wee while having to be around that music just went mute?
Oh, love it. No. So that's my number 2 pick. My first Star Wars pick, actually. So,
Ooh.
so
Olympia.
For my number 1 pick, I have went with something from the name of our episode today, Subspace Rhapsody. So I have picked the song just before the finale. Keep us connected.
Oh, that makes me cry.
And that's why.
Oh.
It's such a powerful moment, and she's singing through this kind of heartbreak and how she's had such a hard life and lost all these people, but how she's important and how she's the one who's going to save them and how she matters and she has a purpose. And yeah, bad things happen, but it doesn't take away from all the goodness in the world and how if you hadn't went through all the things you had, you wouldn't be where you are now.
It's also realizing all that is absolutely right, but I think another really important message in that song is that she always felt that she was alone and she was doing it herself, and the world was on her shoulder, or the galaxy, I guess, in that day and age was on her shoulders. And by the time through her journey that we've seen her through the couple of seasons, she gets to this point, she's realizing that she's got a family around her, her crew, and she's part of that family and team, and they do it together.
Exactly. And I think that comes through in the song, because in the kind of first bit she's saying like her mum, her dad, her cool big brother that she idolised, that she lost that, and then the next kind of bit goes on to how she found Hemmer and she found her place and she found this, and it's kind of, as the song goes through, she's growing up with the song, so you're kind of seeing her progress and life kind of through the song getting to its kind of...
It starts off with her saying that she's always solo, that's how she deals with it, and by the end of it she's saying she's done with solo, she's got everyone around her, she has everything she needs.
Yeah.
It took me a while to remember which one you were on about, and then it was like, oh, as soon as you're describing it, it was like, yeah.
Olympia will start singing it shortly if we let her.
Yeah, no.
Nobody wants to hear me sing. Nobody needs to hear that.
Yeah, so it can't be any worse than mine. But anyway, yeah, that I think she had a couple of these 2 singing parts in this. So one where she sees number 1. Oh, was it the same?
No, that's La'an you're thinking about when she sees them. But it's the same kind of style of song with that kind of slower, more melodic. But you're thinking of when La'an sees number 1 talking with Kirk, and she's expressing, she's being open and saying about how she feels. That was actually contending for my list, was that one. Because again, she's having this big emotional moment that how can I be like her? She's so free and I'm so closed off, and yeah.
No, very good. And I can't believe how many. No, I can't believe how many Subspace Rhapsody mentions we got. It was a whole musical episode.
It was, wasn't it? And they did it so brilliantly. I honestly could have filled my top 5 with just those.
We should have done a top 5 Subspace Rhapsody episode.
Well, yeah, there's 7 or 8 songs in Subspace Rhapsody?
More. I'll tell you just now because I have the playlist here.
Yeah, give it a count. Include the title sequence, because the title sequence is actually people's voices as well for a lot of it. How many are we looking at?
10 plus the end credit melody, which is listed as separate from the intro melody. So you've got 10 to 11 tracks in there.
Fair enough.
Cool.
The one Ben mentioned is called How Would That Feel, for anybody who is what they kind of see that through, the kind of distance between them.
No, I love it. And I could just pick that whole episode, really.
Yeah.
100%.
So number 1 pick for Olympus.
Da 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 da. Sorry, Duel of the Fates, episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Oh yes. Oh yes. I mean, we've probably mentioned this multiple times on episodes now. Maul, the door opens, Maul stands there. The Jedi take the robes off, get the lightsabers ready. Hang on a minute, there's Maul's first saber out, and then all of a sudden, boom! There's the second one, and the music that's all surrounding that. It's one
You
of
do
the
love that moment.
it's one of the coolest moments in Star Wars. And that's because like if you think nowadays, especially with the exposure to games and everything that we've got on Star Wars, which is phenomenal, people are familiar with double-bladed lightsabers, with dual-wielding lightsabers, with the upbeat music that goes with it, and that typical Star Wars sort of music from the prequels, right? Everyone's used to it now. When you go back to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, it had a totally different tone to the original trilogies. This was brand new to you, and sitting there as a kid, watching this badass bad guy just ignite a double-bladed lightsaber to that phenomenal music.
Yeah, because episode 1's the 4th movie, isn't it?
Yes,
That
episode 1's
really,
the fourth
that,
movie.
like, come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, not 5, 6, 7, 1.
4, 5, 6, 1, but yes.
Same thing. Either way, numbers are wrong.
Yeah, he did do it in a weird way, but yeah. I can't really say much more than that, guys.
That is a very good pick.
Thank you. It's just it is Star Wars for me. That one scene, and that's even before you go into the rest of the musical sequence of the actual battle. Just that one moment where he ignites the second half of the lightsaber, and you have that meme where the stadium goes wild and the commentators are like, "What the move scene? Wow, this is amazing!" It's just absolutely brilliant.
It is. No, I agree. Yeah, and one of these days, as well as the music, we're going to get into top 12 duels at one stage.
Oh yes,
So wait for that too.
yes, and that one will be top of the list.
Well, we don't need to watch that episode now.
So, no, I love it. Any opinions, Olympia?
No, I kind of echo what you've said, that it is a wow moment where you see this thing that no one's seen before, and I think nowadays it's kind of lost, as you said, because people are so used to that when you see it, you don't get the big moment that you got when you were watching it first time round before all the other stuff.
Yeah, honestly, watching it in the late 90s in the theatre for the first time, it's one of the few times, because I think US cinema goers seem to be a lot more outspoken, a lot more applauding and cheery from what I've seen. But the UK cinema goers don't do that. You sit quietly, you watch the movie quietly. It's a done thing. It's like queuing, you queue, no matter what you queue. But it's one of the few times that I've been in a theatre and actually had heard gasps and woes and oh my gods happening. The last time, well, the most recent time I've seen that, I think I've only seen it once more, and that was Endgame.
Yes.
That was Avengers Endgame. That's the only other time I've ever seen that happen in the UK cinema.
Yeah. I remember the odd laugh, but that's okay. The limit for my...
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
yeah, sorry. Theatrically, if it's a funny bit, people laugh and all that, absolutely. But in terms of an actual big reaction, you don't get that. People contain themselves over here.
Yeah, no, great. In that case, shall I go back to the start with my one?
You're going to go back to the start?
Yeah. And I'm going to go with, to add to a top 4 of Subspace Rhapsody picks. And I'm going to pick the start of Subspace Rhapsody, or at least the first proper musical part. And that's where...
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where Spock starts singing. So they suggest they put some music. Oh, of course, Uhura starts humming to herself originally, but that was not related to the problem with the subspace anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
This is them working out the subspace anomalies there, suggesting, doing a lot of communication to it, and then suggest sending the music to it. And this wave goes through the ship, and it's like everybody go, what's this? You can see it and see everybody move with this wave. And I nearly said Picard, but Pike got communicating down to I presume engineering, maybe.
Yeah.
Or yeah, and them starting to work out what's going on, and then Spock starts singing the answers, they
The
move
intermix
up.
chamber and containment field are stable. I'll check on the warp core and assess its state when I'm able. And I'll stop.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't want to hear. You don't want to
Okay.
hear me sing.
No, that's good. The bridge starts singing. They check in with medical. They start singing. I don't know if you see it in that scene, but definitely in one of the future, you can see some of the people in the beds like moving to the music. It's, I suppose that's what dancing is, moving to the music. But these were just smaller movements, and yeah, this is what got it started for me. So, and I suppose my handwritten rule at the time was I was keeping one thing per episode or film. So I was trying to keep with that. And I wonder what this top 5 pick would have been without that coming out relatively recently. Subspace Rhapsody coming out.
I do find that I love that pick and I love that song. Status Report is one of like my favourite songs from the episode. But I do feel it doesn't fit with the rest of the episode.
Really?
Because every other song in the episode is triggered by a big emotional how you're feeling. This is triggered by what's the status report? Something that happens every time they encounter an anomaly. Every time something happens, you get a status report. It's daily, it's mundane, it happens on the regular to get a status report. It's not that big emotion that all the other songs come out and play in.
Okay, yeah, I can totally get that, and I will counter.
Oh, okay.
With how does the music in most musicals start? Think theatre. Think about Hamilton. How does Hamilton start? They introduce a story.
Yeah.
There's no emotional element to it at all. Every other song in Hamilton is based off of emotion. The first one's not.
Okay, so from that kind of point of view, it does follow the trope of a musical. What I'm arguing is from a story point of view, the whole thing is they need to trigger an emotional outburst to get the data. They need this big emotional finale number to collapse the field. It's all tied to emotion. Lahan makes the point a few times about how their emotions are dangerous and that's what triggering it, but Status Report doesn't have that emotional trigger.
I can't argue against that particular point. I really
and
can't.
There's emotion in trying to work it out.
Yeah, the confusion of what's going on.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
But no, right. I do absolutely love the song, and I love how you see all the different departments all doing their wee bit, and then it kind of builds to thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, you have a point, but yeah, and I suppose this is what we're here to talk about, the minutiae occasionally of things, but this is one of the end up untying what I like. So
yeah, oh no, I love it.
I do actually love that a few people were kind of arguing that moment should have collapsed the field. Because it was a big everybody in the ship was encoded kind of thing, and I'm like, it wouldn't though, because to collapse the field they also needed the Klingons. They needed that little bit to push them up, so that opening number wasn't strong enough. It was like, here's where you need to get, and here's where you're sitting. You're so close, but you're not quite hitting the mark.
Equally to what Olympia said at the start there, it is one of my favourites out of Subspace Rhapsody as well. And I mean, so much so that I can remember half the lyrics. So it's just, I just love that episode. The entire episode's great. I'm trying to think through the song now. I think the biggest surprise and the bit I like most out of it is the fact that Spock starts it. You know, the guy who's meant to contain his emotions. He's the least likely person you would expect to sing. That forget about the short for a moment. That brilliant short in the turbo lift with him and
that was so close to coming in. Yeah,
exactly. That should be an honourable mention too. Actually, that's a fair point. Yikes, there's so many of them. But
we'll get there.
Oh, I know. But yeah, I've lost what I was saying now.
You're
Sorry.
talking about how Spock, supposed to suppress his emotion, is the first one to.
He's the first one to sing, and I think that makes that song in particular very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Love your pick, Ben. Absolutely
That-
brilliant.
Absolutely
thank
love
you.
it.
And I think I will mention something in the honourable mentions, which are coming on soon, about two of the things we've mentioned or semi-mentioned, and mention these later. But shall we round up our picks? So,
Yes.
Olympia, what were
So,
your
my
picks?
top 5. Okay, so no, that is not them.
No, that was Spotify.
So we started with Virtuoso. Still can't get that.
You got it right. You got it there.
Thank you. Which was the episode with the Doctor bringing music to a planet. Then we moved to Blue Skies from Nemesis, which was sung by Brent Spiner. Then we moved to Calician Opera, which is all around discovery and how Stamets finds his way home, or Culber finds his way home. I can't remember which way around that goes. But anyway, and then we move on to Isa Brione's version of Blue Skies, because I feel that just tied up very nicely and kind of showed the juxtaposition between a song being different things. And then my number 1 was Keep Us Connected from Subspace Rhapsody, because I just love the emotion behind it.
Fantastic.
Oh, Olympus.
My number 5 was from Subspace Rhapsody, which I think, if we were voting in a slightly different way, has just totally won the show today. I'm ready, Chapel Song. This news really changes everything. But then we move on to another Subspace Rhapsody song for number 4, which was
This is where it all leads.
The Enterprise with We Are One. Then on to the duel on Mustafar, in particular, that very beginning piece, the argument between Anakin and Obi-Wan, which builds up and leads to the start of the battle. On to my number 2, moving away from Star Wars, back into Star Trek, but this time it's Picard, with that absolutely gorgeous scene of the Enterprise leaving the Starfleet Museum to that classic TNG music, which I'm just so glad they gave us that. It was brilliant. And last but not least, back to Star Wars for probably what I think is the best musical and actual moment in Star Wars movies, which is Duel of the Fates, when Maul ignites the second half of that lightsaber. And that is not me saying that I think it is the best scene in all of the Star Wars movies based off of the actual physical content. It was just the feelings you got from watching it for the very first time, which you'll never get again. It was just...
Unless you get amnesia.
Oh, I really hope I don't.
Yeah, I really hope you got
Ben.
Oh, good. So my 5 were the memorial service for Ro Larin and Geordie Forge with the jazz band, including Will Riker. Then it was Best Is Yet to Come by Vic Fontaine and Ben Sisko. There you have what I'm going to call Q and his mariachi band. You got the music, cantina music in Moses Castle. And then you got the start of Subspace Rhapsody. So, which we've almost got a top 5 pick. We had a 5 pick, a 4 pick was that. And then we had 2 number 1s.
You're right, we almost had a 5 there. So close.
Yeah, so we nearly had that. Again, predictions on scores, anybody?
Oh, I think...
Trek takes the day.
Oh, no, I was going to say Star Wars, just like Death Star lasers this to oblivion, like Alderaan. It was definitely Star Trek.
Yeah, 12-3. I was expecting that to be a bit closer, but...
There's so many good musical moments in Star Wars as well.
But not as good as what?
Apparently not as good as Star Trek.
Yeah.
I think Subspace Rhapsody is really what took it. I wonder, to your point, Ben, how this would look if Subspace Rhapsody never happened.
Yeah, definitely. I would probably have at least one other pick on there. So here goes my honourable mentions. So, okay, I did have the Cantina band music. Okay, because that's one of my sings. Okay, I did consider the Max Rebo band, which was from Return of the Jedi, where they go to rescue Han Solo, and that's the music that's going on with Jabba the Hutt. one I completely forgot and was on my list to start with was not Faith of the Heart, but the change to Faith in the Heart for In a Mirror Darkly.
Yes.
I know they did change it partway through seasons, but this was a very different change for the Mirror Universe episodes where they completely changed the music and the start of First Contact. It was just because of that surprise there. I did also have the end of the thing. So our guy there's O'Hara and the crew trying to get the motions up and Klingon boy band performance. So and there is two picks that I didn't initially mean to keep off it, but I think I subconsciously kept them off it. One was from Q&A, which was number one, and Spock singing from I've suddenly had a mind blank.
Gilbert and Sullivan.
That's the
Gilbert
one.
and Sullivan.
Modern Major General.
Modern Major General.
Uh-huh.
I just had Pirates of Penzance in my head,
Yes.
and I knew it wasn't Pirates of Penzance. That was one of my best scenes ever, and I don't know why I didn't pick that, but I think subconsciously I wanted something different. That was a rule that I didn't have, but I had.
Yeah, that
And
makes
the other
sense.
one was another scene, one of my favourite scenes, and that was from a holodeck episode in Voyager, and that was 7 and 9 singing in the Resistance cell and in the bar there.
Yeah.
Before Captain Janeway's or Katarina Janeway introduces everybody to the bar and says, "We'll keep the war outside."
That was a Herogen episode, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
It was a Herogen episode. Yeah, and I did really consider that today, but I think subconsciously I wanted to do 5 new things, so I probably subconsciously took them off my list. Olympia. I realise I'm pointing at you as in I expected you to know where my hand's pointing.
So, in terms of my honourable mentions, I think the biggest one for me wasn't a specific moment, which is why it stayed on honourable mentions rather than going on my top 5. But just in general, Gilbert and Sullivan. There are countless references to it throughout the show. You've got the short, you've got the mention to it in Ad Astra Perispera, where Spock's on the stand and he mentions her love of Gilbert and Sullivan. In Subspace Rhapsody, she says about her being up on the stage singing along to Gilbert and Sullivan. Throughout TNG, there's multiple references to it as well, where they're singing different songs that are linked to Gilbert and Sullivan. There are a few.
Insurrection. In the shuttle pods when they're trying to get data.
Yes.
They start singing. What's the song they sing?
I have it here.
It's something about ships.
A British tar.
Is it a British tar?
Yeah. When Data's malfunctioning after being shot and they're taking him, trying to retrieve him. That actually was part of why this went on my list, because reading this kind of bit about it, because I was looking for the kind of references, and it has actually been in recent years, this is what it's saying here and I'll read it out, in recent years many studies have found that people experience memory loss still relate and respond to music from their youth, and some researchers have even found that musical memories seem to be partially independent of our other memory systems and stay intact for longer.
Wow.
So the fact that they kind of use that song, that's something Data's kind of familiar with, to keep him tethered to who he is, I think that's really important. So yeah, and then obviously you've got Crusher is trying to convince LaForge to audition for one of our plays, and she convinces him to sing I'm a Modern Major General.
I forgot about that one.
So that was also in it. So there's, throughout Trek, there is a lot of references to Gilbert and Sullivan, so I think that definitely deserves a mention, just because it's clearly very important to...
And that's a lot of musical moments.
Yes. My other one, kind of going off topic a bit, isn't from Trek or Wars. It would be from the Orville.
I know what you're going to pick.
Do you? Okay, what do
I
you
think
know?
it's going to be Dolly Parton.
No,
Oh,
it's not Dolly Parton. I've got two that I would pick from. One is, and I can't remember the name of the song, but it's when Gordon is singing goodbye to
Okay, yeah.
Isaac, and he's on the piano and he's giving it big licks and all that. The other one is a song called Flowers Never Bend, which is from season 3, when Gordon and Charlie are in the cabin and he's playing his guitar and the two of them are singing this kind of duet together and they're going, look how amazing she is. And I just love that song. Like, I've listened, that is on my Spotify playlist and I listen to it quite regularly. And I just think it's such a nice wee song. So, yeah.
Oh, made me think of one that I nearly considered, and mine was from Futurama, from I think Where No Man Has Gone Before, which I think it was episode or whatever their parody of Star Trek was. They were going to this alien planet to find the rest of the original series crew with Spock. Oh, I'm saying it was Spock, but yeah, Leonard Nimoy, and I believe William Shatner had done a load of songs that he was like slow talking to sort of things, and he'd done a rap of a slow rapping to Eminem and made that seem even slower than that it would have been normally. But it was like really it crossed my mind to put that on.
I think there's so many kind of musical moments we could go on and on all night about the music and how it invokes, because I think it is such an important topic. But yeah, I think my kind of picks there were quite good ones, but I think I couldn't even narrow it down. Like, even my honourable mentions, I was like, no, I cannot have like 15 of them. I need to kind of, which is why Gilbert and Sullivan got lumped into one.
I mean, my honourable mentions aren't really going to... They pale to both of yours. So I'll keep this short and sweet. Faith of the Heart.
Yeah.
Because as much as that is love-hate for so much of the fandom, guys, they tried something brave and new. And you know what? It's a good song. I know. I'm going to say it. I'll get hate for it. Tell me in the comments.
Weird thing.
Yes, say the weird thing. It's a good song. Does it work as Star Trek credits? Well, if you want the traditional type of Star Trek credits, maybe not. But you know what? The message in it is exactly what it should be for the start of humanity exploring the stars. It really tells that story. So I love Faith of the Heart for that alone. And all the puns and memes that you can create from it as well are great. The only other one I'm going to mention is, it's not so much a moment in a movie like that's actually being acted out, or a TV show that's actually being acted out, but you hear it from two different media. So the first time you ever hear it is First Contact. It's actually the theme music for First Contact, which I think is just calm and serene and beautiful and sci-fi at the same time. And it gives you these feelings of hope and positivity, and knowing that no matter what hardships you're going to come across, you'll get through them. And then to hear that play again at the end of each episode of Picard Season 3, again, it's just one of those nostalgic moments that just made me all warm and fuzzy inside. It's utterly beautiful.
Do you know what? You kind of made me think of something, and it's kind of gone right back out of my head, which is terrible, but I was going to say something about...
I was talking about, what do you call it, First Contact, and...
That's gone.
There's another good musical moment for honourable mentions, though. See if it comes back to you.
I'm surprised you didn't go down to the bar scene.
Yeah, I know, right? With Cochrane and the Vulcans at the very end.
Yes.
And the one with
Troy. Deanna Troy being drunk, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I do. I love that, but now is not the time to talk about time.
We don't have the time.
It's actually we haven't got the time. It's not we don't have it, it's we haven't got.
You're drunk. I am not.
That's went
Yeah.
right in my head. I
Yeah.
can't think. But
That's it.
I'll
It'll
come back to me
Oh.
at 3 a.m.
And if you like, we can record it now at night. The joys of editing.
Yeah. And one thing I did not mention is you briefly got into it, but the intro for TNG, the theme there, also the Voyager theme,
Oh, beautiful.
and
If you
Space
remembered,
Nine theme was there.
keep it in your mind. Keep it in your mind.
And also, one thing I completely forgot is the start of A New Hope, the music when the crawl comes down and
Oh yeah,
such like.
that's a
was-
point. How did we not mention that?
My one.
Yeah.
It came back to me.
She's gonna lose it. Look at her.
I am scared this is going to
Go
go
on.
in my head again. The intro to Subspace Rhapsody, because it's people singing it. And it's not a computer, it's not just music, it's people doing that kind of almost a cappella type bit. Like that is just, it's the same song that you always hear, but done in a different way, and I think it's just so well put together.
Lovely, very creative.
Yes.
Cool. And before we go, completely off topic, not off topic, but extend the topic for another hour.
Mhm.
Which we easily could do.
Oh, definitely. I want to say thank you for. No, I'm not going to say thank you for watching yet. I'm going to say, where can we find Olympia?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on, what's that one called? Twitch? Is it Twitch?
Twitch, you've not been on Twitch.
I've not been on Twitch for a while, but I do have Twitch, and there is a couple of things on there. And maybe one day my life will be put together enough that I can get back to it and I won't be so exhausted all the time.
So that's Olympia 0511.
Yes, that is correct.
Cool. Talking about 0511.
Yes. So you can find me, Olympus 0511, on Twitter, on Twitch, on TikTok, on YouTube. So you can find me a few places. And I love saying this bit because Ben said it once and I've never let it drop since. If you search for me, do Olympus 0511 without any spaces. Otherwise, all you're going to find is cameras. And you know what? Olympus cameras are lovely. I'm sure they are. I haven't owned one myself, but I'm sure they're great.
Yeah, you
But-
did.
Did I?
Yeah.
An Olympus?
Yeah.
No.
I think you did. I'm pretty sure it was the Olympus camera that we had way back when we were doing our kind of photography around the uni and stuff.
I've missed a trick, but this is not product placement of any sense whatsoever. You know, we're not product placing on this video. Not intentionally, I promise.
Well, like,
Going into Wayne's World here.
I know, right? I noticed halfway through what I was drinking from, I was like, I better mention at some point that I'm not endorsing this company in any which way
also,
whatsoever.
that you've got like the Doctor Who posters of the Star Trek thing, and that over behind Olympus's shoulder over here is an autograph from Charmed.
Yeah.
In case anybody's wondering what that is, it's from season 8, and it was autographed as a gift for me for passing my standard grades, which are kind of the exams you sit in Scotland about kind of 15-ish roughly.
What's the first exams you do in England? Are they A levels or O levels?
I think it was O levels, but for me it was GCSEs.
Yeah, so
I
it's
think my
equivalent.
parents took O levels, GCSEs.
It's
And then it's A
GCSEs.
levels.
Yeah, it's about the equivalent of GCSEs. So yeah, there's all the product placement going on, and then we've got like Lord of the Rings and Star Trek, and is that the Millennium Falcon?
I wouldn't call them product placement.
Well, you're
though.
advertising.
Products are like, yeah, okay. We endorse and advertise all sorts of sci-fi and fantasy,
Yeah,
not coffee makers.
that's just the biggest
That's
mug that
just
we
the
have.
biggest
if you
mug
need
I
the
have,
big
and I
mug.
needed a coffee.
And
And
that
that
just
talking-
don't call me the biggest mug.
I
But,
would never do that. Never.
He's
and-
the biggest mug.
I'll wear that hat.
I love you, really.
And we've totally digressed for 2 more minutes. Ben, sorry, where can we find you, mate?
oh yeah, so for anybody watching this via the podcast, you can find me on YouTube and this on YouTube, the live version. You can see the product placements. I'm TrekWars and Fantasy. I'd also stream. I'm starting to get back to streaming where I do it on YouTube and Twitch. Same name as before. The only time where it's not the same name is Twitter, where it's TrekWars Fantasy, because I have not got enough letters to do that. I also do on TikTok. Okay, that's mainly the shorts that I do on YouTube, but the benefit is I'm releasing them earlier than I do on YouTube, just to do something different. And also, yeah, have a look. If you go to YouTube, have a look at the community tab. I've done lots of votes, including I think top songs there, where I believe the TNG theme is currently leading as of recording date.
And rightly so.
Yeah. And I usually put 2 Star Trek 2 Star Wars in there just for reference, for everybody to keep doing.
That's a nice fair split as well
Yeah.
across the 2 franchises.
So everybody out there, please hit like and follow on these lovely gents who are doing their stuff, and they've just explained where to find them. And for anyone who follows them on Twitch and does want to subscribe, please do so. And also bear in mind that if you have Amazon, you get a free sub every month with Twitch subs. So, or with Prime Gaming, whatever they want to call it. Prime Gaming. So for anybody who wants to do that, you can get a free sub every month. You just have to go in and put it on every month. But yeah, join and like these lovely gentlemen wherever you may find them.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for joining us for the second episode.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully you'll have me back another time.
We would love to have you.
If you want me, if you're not sick of me yet. Well, I don't know how you can get sick of me, you love me.
I was going to say that. 15 years plus together now. 16 years. 16 years. It's been 6. Oh, okay. I don't feel so bad now. She's having to do the maths. Woo! I escaped that.
But the people we really want to thank is everybody who's been watching, especially if you got this far. Love you all. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you here. Even if you don't comment in chat, it's still nice that you're watching. So
absolutely.
Thank you very much, and I suppose may the force be with you.
May the force be with you, everyone. Thank you again.
Always.